Hello, sixth graders. It's me, Mrs. James. I'm here to read another chapter of Matilda to you. I hope you've been enjoying it. I really, really love this story. We are on page 49 in your book. So if you could please grab a book, turn to page 49. And it's chapter 5, although it's not listed. And it's called Arithmetic. What is arithmetic? Do you all know? It is another word for math or mathematics. Arithmetic, when I was in school, they would say you're going to have reading, writing, and arithmetic. I think, yeah, arithmetic. We didn't call it that. We called it math. But in her day, back in her day, they call it arithmetic. So page 49 for you. Let's get there right at the top. Where should your eyes be? Eyes on the page, on the words, following the words across. Very good. Here we go, sixth graders. Arithmetic. Matilda longed for her parents to be good and loving and understanding and honorable and intelligent. Sixth graders, before we move forward, tell me, what does that word longed mean? Matilda longed. It's not meaning like a long, piece of yarn that's very long. Whoa, that's long. It's not that. But what does it mean when we long for something? Let's read that sentence and see if you can get that. Matilda longed for her parents to be good and loving and understanding and honorable and intelligent. The fact that they were none of these things was something she had to put up with. So longed means what? Longed means wished. She wished, she desired. She really wished this for her parents, and they were none of these. It was not easy to do so, but the new game she had invented of punishing one or both of them each time they were beastly to her made her life more or less bearable. Being very small and very young, the only power Matilda had over anyone in her family was brain power. For sheer cleverness, she could run rings around them all. But the fact remained that any 5-year-old girl in any family was always obliged to do as she was told, however asinine the orders might be. Thus, she was always forced to eat her evening meals out of TV dinner trays in front of the dreaded box. She always had to stay alone on weekday afternoons, and whenever she was told to shut up, she had to shut up. Okay. One question I am going to ask you is give examples, or maybe something more like Matilda was a neglected child. Neglected means not taken care of, not nurtured, not loved. And that's going to be my claim. Matilda was a neglected child. If that were my claim, I can come in here and find evidence. So let me write claim here. I could easily come in here and write evidence for that claim. Let me tell you some of the evidence in that paragraph that starts with being. It says she was always forced to eat her evening meals out of TV dinner trays. Hey, I used to like TV dinners sometimes. I mean, they were like a little treat, and they would come with like a little piece of chocolate with them. They were so much fun. But when a parent only gives their kids TV dinners, hi. You guys, guess what? The printer man is here. He's going to give us some ink. Everybody clap. Thank you. Okay, but I'm recording a video, so just don't judge me. Okay, anyway, so if that was my claim, that Matilda's parents were neglecting or were neglectful to her, hey, Haven, I don't know. Everybody pause. Hold on. You got a new schedule, dear. You know your new class? Okay, everybody pause. So anyway, what I was saying is I can use that. Even though I liked eating TV dinners, they were fun. But if a parent back then only gave their child TV dinners and didn't take the time to cook them a home meal or something like that, that was an example of neglect. She was also left alone all the time at home. So that is also an example. So when I'm looking for something to support my claim of neglect, it's right there. Okay, bottom paragraph. Let's keep going. Her, her safety valve, the thing that prevented her from going round the bend, was the fun of devising and dishing out these splendid punishments. And the lovely thing was that they seemed to work, at any rate for short periods. The father, in particular, became less cocky and unbearable for several days after receiving a dose of Matilda's magic medicine. The parrot in the chimney affair quite definitely cooled both parents down a lot, and for over a week they were comparatively civil to their small daughter. But alas, this couldn't last. The next flare-up came one evening in the sitting room. Mr. Wormwood had just returned from work. Matilda and her brother were sitting quietly on the sofa, waiting for their mother to bring in the TV dinners on a tray. The television had not yet been switched on. In came Mr. Wormwood in a loud check suit and a yellow tie. The appalling broad orange and green check of the jacket and trousers almost blinded the onlooker. He looked like a low-grade bookmaker dressed up for his daughter's wedding, and he was clearly pleased with himself this evening. He sat down in an armchair and rubbed his hands together and addressed his son in a loud voice. "Well, my boy," he said, "your father's had most successful day. He's a lot richer tonight than he was this morning. He has sold no less than 5 cars, each one at a tiny profit. Sawdust in the gearboxes, the electric drill on the speedometer cables, a splash of paint here and there, and a few other clever little tricks, and the idiots were all falling all over themselves to buy." He fished out a bit of paper from his pocket and studied it. "Listen, boy," he said, addressing the son and ignoring Matilda. "Seeing as you'll be going into this business with me one day, you've got to know how to add up the profits you make at the end of the day. Go and get yourself a pad and a pencil and let's see how clever you are." The son obediently left the room and returned with the writing materials. "Write down these figures," the father said, reading from his bit of paper. "Car number 1 was bought by me for 278 pounds. 6th graders, just so that you know, this takes place like in England. So pounds are not pounds, like weight. Like he's not talking about being a big bag. He's talking about pounds, dollars. Pounds equals dollars. Okay, let's go back. Car number 1 was bought by me for 278 pounds and sold for 1,425. Got that?" The 10-year-old boy wrote the 2 separate amounts down slowly and carefully. "Car number 2," the father went on, "cost me 118 pounds and sold for 760. Got it?" "Yes, Dad," the son said. "I've got that." "Car number 3 costs 111 pounds and sold for 999 pounds and 50 pence. Say that again," the son said. How much did it sell for?" 999 pounds and 50 pence, the father said. "And that, by the way, is another of my nifty little tricks to diddle the customer. Never ask for a big round figure. Always go just below it. Never say 1,000 pounds. No, always say 999.50. It sounds much less, but it isn't. Clever, isn't it?" "Very," the son said. "You're brilliant, Dad." "Car number 4 costs 86 pounds. A real wreck that was. And sold for 699 pounds 50. Not too fast," the son said, writing the numbers down. "Right, I've got it. Car number 5 costs 637 pounds and sold for 649.50. You got all those figures written down, son?" "Yes, Daddy," the boy said, crouching over his pad and carefully writing. "Very well. the father said. Now, work out the profit I made on each of the 5 cars and add up the total. Then you'll be able to tell me how much money your rather brilliant father made all together today. That's a lot of sums, the boy said. Of course it's a lot of sums, the father answered. But when you're in big business like I am, you gotta be hot stuff at arithmetic. I've practically got a computer inside my head. It took me less than 10 minutes to work the whole thing out. You mean you did it in your head, Dad? The son asked, Googling. Well, not exactly, the father said. Nobody could do that. But it didn't take me long. When you're finished, tell me what you think my profit was for today. I've got the final total written down here, and I'll tell you if you're right. Matilda said quietly, Dad, you made exactly 4,303 pounds and 50 pence together. Don't butt in, the father said. Your brother and I are busy with high finance. But Dad, shut up, the father said. Stop guessing and trying to be clever. Look at your answer, Dad, Matilda said gently. If you've done it right, it ought to be 4,303 pounds and 50 pence. Is that what you got, Dad? The father glanced down at the paper in his hand. He seemed to stiffen. He became very quiet. There was a silence. Then he said, Say that again. 4,303 pounds 50, Matilda said. There was another silence. The father's face was beginning to go dark red. I'm sure it's right, Matilda said. You little cheat, the father suddenly shouted, pointing at her with his finger. You looked at my bit of paper. You read it from off what I got written here. Daddy, I'm on the other side of the room, Matilda said. How could I possibly see it? Don't give me that rubbish, the father shouted. Of course you looked. You must have looked. No one in the world could get a right answer just like that, especially a girl. You're a little cheat, madam. That's what you are, a cheat and a liar. At that point, the mother came in carrying a large tray on which were the 4 suppers. This time it was fish and chips, which Mrs. Wormwood had picked up in the fish and chip shop on her way home from bingo. It seemed that bingo afternoons left her so exhausted both physically and emotionally that she never had enough energy left to cook an evening meal. So if it wasn't TV dinners, it had to be fish and chips. What are you looking so red in the face about, Harry? She said as she put the tray down on the coffee table. Your daughter's a cheat and a liar, the father said, taking his plate of fish and placing it on his knees. Turn the telly on, and let's not have any more talk. That's the end, 6th graders. We will read, the next chapter is going to be The Platinum Blonde Man. We'll read that tomorrow. All right, until next time, have a good day.